The conference room smells faintly of burnt coffee and smugness. Max, my manager, pushes a folded paper toward me without looking up from his phone. His son, Axel, is already in my chair, logged into my account like he belongs there. Max's voice is casual but loud enough for the entire team to hear. Effective immediately, you'll be moving to reception. Laughter bubbles from someone in the corner. My jaw tightens. I force my lips into something resembling a smile, even though my chest feels like it's caving in. The paper in front of me has my name typed at the top, but everything else feels like it belongs to someone else's nightmare. Any questions? Max asks, finally looking up with those cold eyes that never quite meet mine. I shake my head slowly. No questions. Axel spins in what used to be my chair, grinning like he just won the lottery. Don't worry, Jane. Reception is super important too. His voice drips with fake sympathy that makes my stomach turn. I pick up the paper, fold it carefully, and slide it into my pocket. My hands don't shake. They won't give him that satisfaction. Axel leans back in my chair, stretching like he owns the air in here. Don't take it personally, he says, examining his fingernails with the kind of boredom that comes from never having to fight for anything. Dad thinks you'll be more approachable at the front. My nails dig into my palms so hard I feel the crescent moons forming. The team pretends to look busy, but I catch their sideways glances. Some look embarrassed, others just look relieved it's not them. That was the moment the quiet girl in the corner stopped being invisible. My name's Jane Collins. I'm 34 years old, and up until 5 minutes ago, I was the senior accounts manager at Roel & Associates. I've worked here for 6 years, building relationships, closing deals, staying late when everyone else went home. I never complained, never caused drama, never demanded credit when my ideas made the company money. I was the reliable one, the steady one, the one who fixed problems before they became disasters. I was also, apparently, the expendable one. Max clears his throat. Jane, you can clean out your desk now. I stand up slowly, smoothing down my skirt. Of course. 3 weeks earlier, everything was different. I remember sitting at my desk, my real desk, surrounded by files and coffee cups and the organized chaos of someone who actually cared about their work. Months of late nights had gone into the Nouveau Industries proposal, and it was finally perfect. Max had stopped by that Friday afternoon, leaning against my cubicle wall with his politician's smile. Jane, this Nouveau deal could change everything for us. If you pull this off, there's definitely a bonus in it. I'd felt proud then. Stupid, maybe, but proud. Axel was still between opportunities at that point, which was Max's polite way of saying his 26-year-old son had been fired from his last 3 jobs. He'd started hanging around the office more, claiming he was learning the business. He'd hover by my desk, watching me work, asking questions that seemed innocent enough. How do you keep track of all these clients? And what makes a good proposal? I'd answer patiently, thinking I was being helpful. I didn't know it was the smile of someone measuring their theft. I should have seen it coming when he started asking about my filing system, my client contact methods, my presentation templates. But I trusted people back then. It's the Friday before the big Nouveau pitch. I've been preparing for this moment for months, rehearsing every slide, anticipating every possible question. The proposal is sitting on my desk, printed and bound, ready to change my career. Max announces to the entire floor that Axel will be taking point on the client I'd cultivated for months. His voice carries that fake enthusiasm that makes my skin crawl. Everyone claps awkwardly, the sound echoing off the office walls like a slap. My stomach drops so fast I think I might be sick. The words hit me like cold water. My client, my months of work, my presentation, all handed over to someone who couldn't even manage to show up on time. Axel's got fresh ideas. Max continues, his hand on his son's shoulder. I think Nouveau Industries will appreciate his innovative approach. I force a laugh, even as the words team player taste like rust in my mouth. My colleagues won't meet my eyes. They know this is wrong, but no one says anything. No one ever says anything when Max makes his decisions. Jane will support him, of course, Max adds, like I'm an assistant instead of the person who built this entire relationship from scratch. I nod and smile because that's what good employees do. Reception is small, cramped, with a fake plant leaning like it's given up on life. The desk is half the size of my old one, squeezed between the lobby entrance and the elevator bank. Every time someone walks by, they have to squeeze past my chair. My old projects pass me on their way to Axel's desk, carried by other team members who won't look at me directly. Every "sorry, Jane" comes with eyes that can't meet mine. Voices that trail off into uncomfortable silence. "It's fine," I say, over and over again until I almost believe it myself. The phone rings constantly. "Rawl and Associates, this is Jane." The routine becomes automatic, mechanical. I transfer calls, take messages, smile at visitors who remember when I used to matter. Casey, one of the junior analysts, stops by during her lunch break. She looks around nervously before leaning closer to my desk. "This is so messed up," she whispers. "Everyone knows you should be getting that promotion, not sitting out here." I appreciate her kindness, but kindness doesn't change anything. "It's just temporary," I lie. From my glass box, I have a perfect view of the entire office floor. I can see everything now, every meeting, every conversation, every decision being made without me. Being underestimated, I'm starting to realize, has its advantages. From my reception desk, I can see the whole floor like I'm watching a movie. People think reception staff are invisible, part of the furniture. They walk past talking about confidential deals, personal problems, office politics. They have entire conversations right in front of me, like I can't hear them. I start noticing things I never saw before. Which clients Axel avoids taking calls from. Which meetings Max takes with his door closed. Which suppliers roll their eyes before walking into the conference room. Which employees look stressed, overworked, defeated. The Nouveau presentation is next week, and Axel is already behind schedule. I watch him through the glass walls, playing games on his phone when he should be preparing. He leaves early every day, comes in late every morning. Mrs. Rull, the company owner, walks through the lobby twice a week. She always stops to chat with me now, asking how I'm adjusting to my new role. Her tone suggests she knows something isn't right, but she doesn't interfere with Max's decisions. "You're handling this transition very gracefully," she says one afternoon. "Thank you, Mrs. Rowell. I'm learning a lot from this perspective." And I am learning. I'm learning exactly how this company really works when no one thinks anyone important is watching. A client accidentally CCs me on an urgent email meant for Axel. Brennan Manufacturing needs immediate clarification on their contract terms before they can proceed with their next order. It's been 3 days since they sent the original request, and Axel hasn't responded. I stare at the email for a full minute. I could ignore it, let Axel handle his own mistakes. But Brennan Manufacturing represents 15% of our quarterly revenue. If they pull their contract, people will lose their jobs. I quietly draft a response from my reception computer, solving their problem in 2 paragraphs. I copy Axel and explain that I was helping to ensure quick resolution. The client replies within an hour, "Thanks, Jane, you've saved us again. We were about to look elsewhere." I hit archive on the email chain. No one in management notices that I prevented a major client from walking away. But I notice, and I start a small file on my computer, just notes about problems I've quietly solved. The list grows longer every day. Axel walks past my desk later, scrolling through his phone. He hasn't even seen the Brennan email yet. I start keeping a private log on my personal laptop at home. Nothing dramatic, just dates, names, problems that got fixed. Every ignored email, every missed deadline, every complaint that gets swept under the rug. I tell myself I'm not planning revenge. I'm just staying informed, keeping track of things that might matter later. But the list grows longer every day, and each entry makes my chest tight with anger I'm not supposed to feel. Tuesday, Axel missed the Nouveau prep meeting. Max covered for him, said he was handling another client emergency. Wednesday, vendor payment was 2 weeks late because Axel forgot to submit the approval form. Finance called reception looking for him. Thursday, client called 3 times asking for project updates. Axel was at lunch for 2 hours. Friday, overheard Max telling Mrs. Rull that the transition was going smoothly and productivity was up. I close the laptop and pour myself another cup of coffee. My kitchen table has become my real office, the place where I keep track of what's actually happening while everyone pretends everything is fine. My phone buzzes with a text from my sister. "How's the new position?" I type back, "Educational." A furious supplier storms past my reception desk, demanding to see Max immediately. His face is red, his voice carries across the entire lobby. "Where is Axel Rowell? He was supposed to call me back yesterday." I checked the appointment calendar. Axel had blocked out time for that call, but he'd left early for a client dinner that looked suspiciously like drinks with his college friends. Max emerges from his office wearing his politician's smile, the one that smooths over problems without actually solving them. He guides the supplier into the conference room, speaking in low, soothing tones about miscommunications and growing pains. Through the glass walls, I watch Max write what looks like a significant check. The supplier leaves looking satisfied, but not happy. This problem just cost the company money that could have been saved with a 5-minute phone call. I add another note to my growing list. The pattern is becoming clear. Axel creates problems, Max covers for him, the company pays the price. That afternoon, I overhear Max on a call with Mrs. Roll. "Just some vendor confusion," he says. "Nothing serious. Axel's still learning our systems." Learning. 6 months from now, it'll still be learning. A year from now, it'll be someone else's fault. From my seat outside the glass conference room, I watch Max present the quarterly figures to Mrs. Roll and the board members. I recognize my formatting, my exact charts, my carefully crafted executive summary. Even the color scheme is the same one I've used for 3 years. My chest tightens as Max clicks through slides I created, taking credit for analysis I spent weeks perfecting. He presents the nouveau deal projections as if Axel developed them, discusses client relationships I built from scratch. Mrs. Roll nods approvingly. "These numbers look excellent, Max. Your team is really delivering." "Axel's showing real leadership potential," Max replies. "He's got a natural talent for client relations." I want to laugh, but it would sound bitter and crazy. Instead, I answer the phone with my professional voice. "Rowell and Associates, this is Jane." Through the glass, I see Max gesture confidently, pointing to revenue projections that exist only because I prevented 3 different clients from leaving in the past month. None of those saves are documented anywhere official. No one wants to admit how close we came to losing major accounts. The meeting ends with handshakes and smiles. Max walks Mrs. Roll to the elevator, chatting about upcoming opportunities and Axel's impressive performance. Let him take credit. Let him get comfortable. Casey slips me a post-it note during her afternoon coffee run. She looks around nervously before dropping it on my desk. The message is short. "Watch your back. Axel's gunning for more." I wait until she's back at her desk before unfolding the note completely. There's more on the back. "Heard him talking to Max about streamlining operations. Your name came up." My stomach drops. I text Casey. "What exactly did you hear?" Her response comes back quickly. Something about eliminating redundant positions. "Can't talk here." We meet at the coffee shop across the street during my lunch break. Casey looks uncomfortable, picking at her sandwich while glancing toward our office building. "I was in the supply closet when they walked by," she explains. "Axel was saying how reception could be automated, how a lot of positions could be combined to save money." "Did he mention specific names?" "Yours. And mine, and basically everyone who isn't directly under his supervision." I stir my coffee slowly, processing this information. "How did Max respond?" "He said he'd think about it, but Jane, you know how he is with Axel. He never says no." I nod, already planning my next move. Axel takes a high-profile client call alone, while Max is at lunch. From my desk, I watch his face transform from cocky confidence to pale confusion. Hartwell Industries is one of our biggest accounts, and whatever they're saying isn't what Axel expected to hear. He's frantically scribbling notes, saying, "Uh-huh," and "I'll have to check on that," repeatedly. The call lasts 25 minutes, and by the end, his shirt is soaked with sweat. 5 minutes later, the reception phone rings. "Rowell and Associates, this is Jane." "Jane, thank God. This is Jim Hartwell. I just got off the phone with someone named Axel, who seemed completely lost. Can you please have Max call me immediately? We have a serious problem with the Henderson project." I take a detailed message, noting the urgency in Jim's voice. He's been our client for 4 years, and I've never heard him this frustrated. When Max returns, I hand him the message. His face goes through several expressions before settling on controlled anger. He disappears into Axel's office, and through the glass walls I watch what looks like a tense conversation. Later, I overhear Max on the phone with Jim Hartwell, apologizing profusely and blaming miscommunication during our transition period. My list gets another entry. Major client nearly lost due to Axel's incompetence. An internal system crash halts half the department at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. The accounting software won't load, the client database is frozen, and no one can access current project files. IT arrives 30 minutes later, looking harried and overwhelmed. User error, the technician announces after an hour of diagnostics. Someone tried to install unauthorized software and corrupted the network drivers. All eyes turn to Axel, who's been complaining about our outdated systems for weeks. Max waves it off immediately. Just a hiccup, he says. These things happen when you're trying to modernize. But I know our systems. I've been using them for 6 years, and I helped implement the last major update. While IT works on the official fix, I quietly access the backup servers from my reception computer and restore the critical files to a temporary folder. Within an hour, I've created a workaround that gets the accounting team back online. I email the solution to the department heads, copying IT so they know the temporary fix is stable. No credit given. No recognition offered. But I notice Mrs. Rowell walking by shortly after the crisis is resolved, making note of which employees stepped up when things went wrong. That night, I add another entry to my growing file. System crash caused by Axel. Fixed by me. Credit given to IT. Through the cracked conference room door, I hear Max promising the board that Axel will streamline the department. My blood turns to ice as I recognize the euphemism. Streamlining means layoffs. It means cutting the people who actually do the work to make the numbers look better on paper. We can improve efficiency by 20%, Max is saying. Eliminate redundancies, cross-train remaining staff, modernize our approach. I know exactly what that means. Casey was right to warn me. Miss Rowell's voice is harder to hear, but I catch phrases like careful consideration and valuable employees. At least someone is asking the right questions. I have a list of positions we could consolidate, Axel says, and my stomach clenches. Reception could be automated. Several of the account management roles overlap. Some of the junior positions aren't pulling their weight. I glance at the names on my mental list. Casey, who works 60-hour weeks. Cade from accounting, who has 3 kids and a mortgage. Tyler, who just got engaged and is saving for a wedding. All good people. All people who trusted this company to provide stable employment. All people who would be sacrificed to make Axel look like a decisive leader. That night, I don't just update my file. I start planning something bigger. That night, I open my laptop at my kitchen table and spread out everything I've collected over the past months. The list has grown into a comprehensive case file. I start mapping patterns. Clients lost, revenue drops, compliance issues, system failures, all tied directly to decisions Axel made or problems he caused. The numbers are startling when I lay them out clearly. Since Axel took over my accounts, client satisfaction scores have dropped 15%. 3 vendors have threatened to end contracts due to payment delays. The Nuvo deal, which should have been finalized weeks ago, is stalled because Axel keeps missing deadlines. I create spreadsheets, timelines, before and after comparisons. I document every email I've sent to fix his mistakes, every client I've calmed down, every crisis I've prevented from my reception desk. This isn't sabotage. This is exposure. I think about Casey, about Cade, about Tyler. I think about all the employees who come in early and stay late, who care about their work, who deserve better than being sacrificed for a nepotism project. I think about Mrs. Rowell, who built this company from nothing and trusts Max to protect what she created. The outline of my plan emerges clearly. Not revenge, justice. I begin redirecting client queries to Axel's inbox only, with no safety net from me. When Brennan Manufacturing calls about their delivery schedule, I transfer them directly to Axel instead of handling it myself. When Hartwell Industries needs contract clarification, I give them Axel's direct number. I stop catching his drop balls. I stop fixing his mistakes before anyone notices. I let the gap between Max's image of his son and the reality of his performance grow wider every day. It's harder than I expected. My instinct is to help, to solve problems, to make things run smoothly. But every time I reach for the phone to fix something Axel broke, I think about the layoff list and force myself to sit back. The first signs show up within a week. Missed deadlines multiply. Client complaints reach Max's desk instead of being resolved quietly. The atmosphere in the office shifts from calm efficiency to barely controlled chaos. Axel starts looking stressed. He snaps at junior staff, arrives later, leaves earlier. Max begins having more closed-door conversations, his politician's smile wearing thin around the edges. I just smile at visitors and keep my notes updated. Missed deadlines multiply like a virus spreading through the office. The nouveau deal presentation gets postponed twice because Axel isn't ready. 3 separate clients call to complain about delayed responses to urgent requests. A vendor threatens to put our account on hold due to unpaid invoices that are sitting in Axel's approval queue. Axel starts snapping at staff members who ask for guidance. His voice carries across the office when he tells Casey her questions are basic and she should figure it out herself. I watch her face turn red with embarrassment and anger. Max blames staff incompetence in a department meeting, his voice sharp with frustration. The team sits in uncomfortable silence, knowing the real problem but afraid to speak up. Morale tanks lower each day. From my reception desk, I have a front row seat to the slow-motion disaster. Colleagues walk past looking defeated, stressed, exhausted from working twice as hard to compensate for Axel's failures. Roelle makes more frequent walks through the office, her sharp eyes taking in everything. She stops at my desk more often, asking casual questions about office dynamics, client satisfaction, employee morale. "How are things from your perspective, Jane?" she asks one afternoon. "Interesting," I reply carefully. "I'm learning a lot about how all the pieces fit together." She nods thoughtfully. "I'm sure you are." Mr. Brown, one of the board members, stops by reception on his way to lunch with Mrs. Roelle. He's a distinguished man in his 60s, with kind eyes and a reputation for asking tough questions. "Jane Collins," he says, reading my nameplate. "I remember you from the quarterly presentations. Excellent work on the market analysis reports." "Thank you, Mr. Brown. I enjoyed working on those." He glances around the reception area, then back at me. "Seems like you're wasting your talents out here. How are you finding the transition?" It's a loaded question, and we both know it. I choose my words carefully. It's given me a unique perspective on how the company operates. I imagine it has. He pauses, studying my face. "You know, I'll be in the office tomorrow afternoon for another meeting. Perhaps we could grab coffee afterward? I'm always interested in hearing different perspectives on company operations." My heart races, but I keep my voice steady. "I'd be happy to share my observations, Mr. Brown." He smiles and hands me his business card. Looking forward to it. After he leaves, I stare at the card for a full minute. This is the opportunity I've been hoping for. A chance to present my case to someone with the power to actually change things. That night, I organize my files meticulously. 3 major clients complain in the same week, and the office atmosphere turns toxic. Nouveau Industries finally loses patience and schedules a meeting to reassess their relationship with Roelle and Associates. Hartwell Industries sends a formal letter expressing concerns about declining service quality. Brennan Manufacturing threatens to review other vendor options. Max scrambles like a man putting out fires with a teacup. He schedules emergency meetings, sends apologetic emails, makes promises about immediate improvements. His politician's smile cracks under the pressure. Axel blames transition issues and unrealistic client expectations. He suggests that some clients are too demanding, and perhaps the company would be better off without them. The suggestion hangs in the conference room like a toxic cloud. I have every timestamp, every email, every documented failure ready to go. The evidence isn't just damning, it's airtight and impossible to dispute. From my reception desk, I watch Mrs. Roelle's face during her walkthrough that afternoon. She looks like someone who's finally seeing what's been in front of her all along. Mr. Brown arrives early for our coffee meeting, and I slip out during my scheduled break. We find a quiet corner in the cafe across the street, away from prying eyes and office politics. I bring my laptop and my carefully organized files. I bring quiet, undeniable facts. Mr. Brown orders black coffee and listens without interrupting as I present my case. I show him the timeline of declining client satisfaction, the correlation between Axel's decisions and revenue losses, the pattern of problems that started the day I was moved to reception. "This is remarkable documentation," he says, scrolling through the spreadsheets on my laptop. "You've been tracking all of this from reception?" "I've been tracking problems that affect the company's success," I correct gently. "My position gives me a unique view of client interactions and internal operations." He studies the numbers carefully. 3 major accounts considering leaving, vendor relations deteriorating, employee morale at an all-time low. The financial impact is projected to reach 6 figures by year-end if trends continue. "What's your assessment of the root cause?" he asks. I take a deep breath. "Inexperienced leadership in critical client-facing roles. Lack of accountability for performance issues. Decisions being made based on relationships rather than competence." "And your recommendation?" "Restore experienced personnel to client management positions. Implement performance-based evaluation systems. Focus on client satisfaction and employee retention rather than organizational restructuring." Mr. Brown closes my laptop and looks at me directly. "Jane, I'm going to be very frank with you. We've been receiving concerning reports about Max's department. What you've shown me today confirms some suspicions we've had for months." What happens next? The board calls a closed-door meeting, soon. The board meeting happens the following Tuesday, and it's called without Max's knowledge. I watch from reception as Mr. Brown and 2 other board members arrive an hour before the scheduled management meeting. Mrs. Roel greets them personally, her face serious. They disappear into the executive conference room, and for 2 hours, I can see intense discussion through the frosted glass. Documents are passed around, phones are checked, notes are taken. Max arrives for what he thinks is a routine quarterly review. His confident stride falters when he sees the full board assembled and realizes this isn't the meeting he prepared for. Axel's name comes up again and again in the closed session. I can't hear specifics, but I recognize the body language of people reviewing evidence and making difficult decisions. When Max emerges 90 minutes later, his face is ashen. He walks past my desk without making eye contact, heading straight to his office where he closes the door and makes several phone calls. Mrs. Rawl stops at my desk afterward. "Jane, could you please prepare the conference room for another meeting in an hour? We'll need privacy." "Of course, Mrs. Rawl." "And Jane, thank you for your patience during this transition period. Your dedication hasn't gone unnoticed." The words hit me like a warm wave. Finally, someone in authority sees what I've been doing. Max is removed from his position effective immediately during that afternoon meeting. The official announcement cites performance concerns and strategic misalignment. Axel is asked to resign, given the choice between a quiet departure and a formal termination process. I watch through the glass walls as Axel cleans out his desk, his movements jerky with anger and disbelief. He keeps glancing toward Max's office, where his father is having his own tense conversation with HR. The golden boy walks out without meeting my eyes, carrying a small box of personal items and wearing the expression of someone who's never faced real consequences before. Max follows an hour later, his exit more subdued, but equally final. 20 years with the company ended because he couldn't separate personal loyalty from professional responsibility. The office buzzes with shocked whispers. Some people look relieved, others worried about what changes might come next. Casey stops by my desk with wide eyes. "Did you know this was coming?" she asks. "I knew something had to change," I reply honestly. That afternoon, Mrs. Rowell addresses the entire staff, announcing interim leadership arrangements and promising stability during the transition. She emphasizes the company's commitment to retaining valuable employees and maintaining client relationships. Her eyes find mine during the announcement, and she gives me the slightest nod. Mr. Brown calls me into the executive conference room the next morning. Mrs. Rowell is there, along with 2 other board members I recognize from quarterly meetings. The atmosphere is serious, but not hostile. "Jane," Mrs. Rowell begins, "we've reviewed your background, your performance history, and your contributions to this company. We've also carefully considered the documentation you provided to Mr. Brown." My heart pounds, but I keep my expression calm. "We'd like to offer you Max's position as department manager, effective immediately," Mr. Brown says. The board believes you have the experience, competence, and integrity to lead the team through this transition. I don't hesitate. I accept. The salary they offer is 40% higher than what I was making before my demotion. The benefits package includes stock options and performance bonuses. Most importantly, I'll have the authority to implement the changes I've been documenting for months. My first official act: reinstate the people Max had targeted for layoffs. Casey gets a promotion to senior analyst. Cade receives the recognition he deserves for keeping accounting running smoothly. Tyler gets the stability he needs for his upcoming wedding. I also implement new client communication protocols, performance evaluation systems, and accountability measures designed to prevent future nepotism disasters. I walk into my old office, now my office, on Friday morning. The space feels different, larger somehow, filled with possibility instead of frustration. Mrs. Rowell has arranged for new furniture, including a real plant that sits on my desk, catching the morning sunlight. I catch my reflection in the glass wall that overlooks the department I now manage. Still quiet, but definitely not invisible. The team looks up when I walk through, and I see something in their faces I haven't seen in months. Hope. My first department meeting focuses on rebuilding client relationships and restoring confidence in our services. I present clear goals, realistic timelines, and transparent performance metrics. No politicians' smiles or empty promises, just honest communication about the work ahead. Questions? I ask after outlining our new approach. Casey raises her hand. What about the people who are afraid they'd lose their jobs? Job security comes from doing excellent work for satisfied clients, I reply. Our focus is on delivering value, maintaining relationships, and supporting each other's success. Anyone committed to those goals has nothing to worry about. The relief in the room is palpable. After the meeting, I update my personal files one last time, documenting the positive changes already taking place. Client complaints have dropped to 0. Employee morale is recovering. The Nuvo deal is back on track. In my first board presentation as department manager, I present our recovery plan and early results. Client satisfaction scores are trending upward. Employee retention is at 100%. Revenue projections look promising for the first time in months. Mrs. Rawle nods approvingly as I click through slides showing measurable improvements across all key metrics. The Nuvo deal has been successfully closed. Hartwell Industries has renewed their contract. Brennan Manufacturing has expanded their partnership. How did you turn things around so quickly? One board member asks. Simple, I reply. I listened to the clients, supported the team, and focused on competence over politics. The foundation was always strong. It just needed proper management. Mr. Brown smiles. Any lessons learned you'd like to share? I think for a moment, choosing my words carefully. Never underestimate the quiet ones. We see everything, understand the big picture, and care deeply about getting things right. Sometimes the best leaders are the ones who've been watching and learning from the sidelines. No one laughs. They just listen, taking notes and asking thoughtful questions about sustainable growth strategies. And that's all I ever wanted. Respect for my competence, recognition for my contributions, and the opportunity to lead by example rather than intimidation. The quiet girl in the corner wasn't invisible after all. She was just waiting for the right moment to step into the light.